Yes, y'all. Back to you again. Your time is valuable to you, and it's also valuable to me. With that being said, let us begin. But before we begin, I just want to ask you if you can hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so that we can grow this channel the way that only it can grow. And if you see this years from now, know that we have grown and we thank you for everything that you've done in supporting us. We are Xerox Entertainment, and this is the preview of a series that I am absolutely loving right now that is called Tulsa King, starring Sylvester Stallone, by the makers of Yellowstone and Sopranos and quite a few other shows. This show comes on Paramount Plus, stream, probably through cable, some of your cable networks. It's wonderful. And now we have gotten to episode 3 of season 1, and we're going to get into it now. This scene, first scene of this series, starts out where we are at a compound, a ranch, where the ATF, partially led by Stacy, who is the one that Dwight it has a relationship with, is there, and they have the house surrounded. Some mysterious guy shows up, and I think they think he's supposed to be there to help to get the man to surrender, but he doesn't do that. The guy who's in the house name is Dumont. The guy who shows up doesn't quite do what the ATF thought he was going to do, which is to get him to turn himself in. The guy who shows up tells Dumont, hey, you don't have many options. And they basically escort him off. It's a great scene. Then we skip to scene number 2, where we have Dwight drinking coffee. He ends up seeing the same horse he saw the first time he was in, it's called the center of the earth, where no one hears you and you can talk to God or meditate or whatever. And he saw a horse then. He sees a horse again. So we're going to be pretty sure that the horse probably has a certain meaning. Then scene 3, Dwight and Tyson are rolling together in the Navigator. Tyson ends up asking Dwight, what does he think his future is in the organization? He asked him, maybe one day I can be a capo too. Dwight's kind of like, it's not really possible. And Tyson, of course, says, why not? Because I'm not Italian. And he said that, among other things. So they banter back and forth about his future and what he should do. Then we go to scene number 4. Dwight and Tyson arrive at a party that Bodie's throwing. It's almost like a block party. Causes Bodie to introduce Dwight to some other new things that he hadn't seen while he was locked up. In this particular scene, Dwight gets a revelation or a glimpse into another possible business that he can get into that has to do with nitrous oxide and balloons. So he asks Bodie a few questions. Bodie gives him a few answers, and you can see the wheels turning in Dwight's head. And then once we go to the next scene, Dwight is talking to his friend, which I'm sorry, my bad, I don't have his name. He's the guy that owns the bar that Dwight hangs out at most of the time, and they have become somewhat friends. He asked the guy who owns the bar slash quasi restaurant, what does he know about getting nitrous oxide, and he tries to set up and develop a plan in order to get it. In 6, back in the Navigator, on the way to the DMV for Dwight to get the road test. They're still kind of conversating about the future and all of that good stuff. And then once we get to the DMV, Dwight starts the road test. Now in the road test, the guy talks to him and kind of tries to figure out, you know, how long it's been since he's been driving. The guy tells him, I mean, Dwight tells him, he says, you know, I drove in New York, and the guy's kind of like, oh, okay. Kind of like he's a little impressed by New York. He ain't been in New York in a while, but he liked it when he saw it. So anyway, they start driving and riding, kind of talking, and then next thing you know, bang, bang, bang. Someone shoots at the navigator. Dwight saw it was getting ready to happen at first, so he pushes the head of the tester down, and begins to chase, put in chase on the person who tried to shoot him. Um, and going very fast. It's a very funny scene. The guy's about to have a fit because he doesn't know what's going on, and he's never been in a situation like that. And he's probably thinking, I didn't start working here to go through something like this. This is wild. And so eventually, Dwight rams the other car, but unfortunately, it does not stop the other car. The other car rolls off. Dwight sees the tag, part of it. He gets the blood off of the guy who's testing him and writes the partial number of the tag on the window because he knew the police were coming and he knew he would need it. Then we jump from that scene to the police having him down at the police station. Now, at the police station, they say, hey, we looked into your background and we know, basically who you are. And he says, yeah, basically who I used to be. But why am I being held? It's getting shot at, a reason to really hold me or anything like that. And, they kind of banter a little bit back and forth. They're asking him questions that they've already asked him over and over. Or at least we can perceive it because of what Dwight says. We didn't see it in the scene, but it happened because he said basically in his own way that you asked me these questions before. And then a few minutes later, Stacy shows up and she asks him, hey, you're free to go. And when the police, they were on break, when they come back in, they're like, hey, what's going on? And she tells them, basically, he's part of a bigger investigation, and I'm not able to tell you. And they said, not able or not willing. And she said, could be both. So anyway, after that scene, he takes Stacy out to eat. They kind of conversate, talk about how Stacy ended up being in Tulsa, and not going too much into it, but she was involved in 9/11. It rose her career, but the things that happened in 9/11 also were instrumental in kind of making her career kind of get derailed. And that's why she ends up in Tulsa. Got to see that. You got to see that scene. Got to see the whole series so far. It was very good. But after that, they end up going back to Dwight's hotel and doing what they did a previous time. And like I said, with this series, the good thing about it, if you are the type of person who don't need to have sex scenes in every television show you're in, this one skips all of that. You don't get the sex scenes. You know it happened. You don't have to guess that it happened, but they understand in this series that they don't need to show you how it happened and everything like that. They don't need to feel your need to see it if you're the type of person who needs or wants to see it, and that kind of makes the show better or more real to you. It's kind of old school in the way that they do it. It happened. If you're an adult, it's real, and you don't need to see all of that. And it makes it easier for you to watch it with your kids if you can get past the cursing and some of the implied stuff. Now, I know everybody has their own filter on what they want the kids to see, and it's totally respected. Someone don't want them to see any of it. I understand if someone is like, oh shoot, this is nothing. I understand that too. Everyone has their own filter of what they want their children to be, to look at, and they approve. I'm just giving you the information, letting you know that you don't see all of the sex stuff. You just know that it happened. It's implied. All of that good stuff. Only thing that you see in this particular scene, Dwight's in the bed. She's out of the bed trying to find her shoe and put it on. But she's already mostly dressed. So then after that scene, Dwight goes to the hospital to visit Paul, who is the guy who was giving him the road test. He gives him $10,000 in a envelope, and Paul is kind of wondering why, and he just tells him, basically, thank you for not talking to the police. Don't talk to the police. And a matter of fact, do me a favor, talk to one of your DMV friends and get them to hunt this car down, please. So, after that, Dwight meets back up with Tyson, gives him an envelope with a bunch of money, and says, "This is your severance." And Tyson basically says no. The reason why Dwight is saying this is your severance, he knows that Tyson is living with his family. Tyson's 25, lots of time ahead of him, and he doesn't want him to get caught up in stuff, especially when somebody's trying to kill Dwight. But Tyson says, "Hey, I'm an adult. I can make my decisions for myself, and this is what I want to do." So basically, Dwight is cool with that, and he says, "All right." And then he asks him to go get another vehicle. He doesn't want the same color, and I don't know if he's kidding or not. And he may not be, because it's not like the owner of the car dealership is going to fight him too much. But he tells him, "I want you to go get it, go back to the dealership, get me a new one, and I don't want to pay for it, because this is a lemon." And he's like, "A lemon?" He's like, "Yeah, it's got all these bullet holes in it." So he gets a new one. We don't know how it happened. Did he get it for free? How did all of that work? We don't 100% know, but it happened. So that was funny. Very good scene. And then the next scene, they cut to Stacy, where she goes back to the property that blew up, and she's investigating, and then she happens to find one of his dogs, and she picks him up and takes him in. We'll see what all of that part meant. We don't know yet. Then we cut to another scene where Dwight gets called about the tags, or Paul gets his DMV guy to get the tag number, and happens to call Dwight to give him the information. Next scene, Dwight goes to hunt down the vehicle, and it's at this junkyard. And he goes through it. He gets some information. He has Tyson look up some information, gives him more information to at least know where this person may work or own a horse ranch. So after he gets all of that information to hunt down the culprit, Dwight drives to the ranch. He uses an alias. He meets with the owner of the ranch, who's this lady, and the lady's not really going to give a whole lot of information, and she calls BS on the fact that Dwight said he's a private investigator. So he doesn't get much information, but he gets enough to help him to be able to proceed to what he's going to do next. Then the next scene we go to where Tyson's at home, because I guess he's getting tired of being left when things are getting heated now. And he's practicing being a tough guy, almost like Get Tough type of thing. He's looking in the mirror, practicing how he would talk to the people that's trying to get Dwight, and his dad overhears him through the door. He doesn't say anything to him, but he overhears him, and he's kind of like, So I guess what I was saying, I think I'll get my wish. I think Michael Beach is going to have a decent role in the supporting role. So that's going to be awesome. That's going to be fun. Um, and then the next scene, we go to where Dwight has hunted down the um, guy. He follows him to his house, and the guy comes out the house, and his kid, no, the guy gets to his house, and his kids, or one of his kids, comes running and gives him a hug. So Dwight now know who tried to kill him. So that was real good. Um, just want to jump back real quick. There was a scene where after all of this went down, Dwight calls Chicky to ask him if uh, Vince had anything to do with the hit. And basically Jiggy's like, no. What are you trying to tell me? I don't know how to control my guys. I know how to control my guys. A matter of fact, even putting aside that you're real good friends with my dad and all of that, he says you're a great owner or a great earner. So that would even be a bad business move. I had nothing to do with it. So I believe it. I don't think he had anything to do with that. Um, but that guy being there, knowing who he is, I still wonder if they sent him there for a purpose such as that they want Dwight to get rid of this guy and just didn't tell him. That maybe not. We shall see. But episode 3, very good, excellent. That car scene of the chase was great. Um, all around. Check it out. Tulsa King. This review was for season 1, episode 3, episode 3, and soon we will have episode 4. So thank you. Don't forget, please throw in comments, do the emoji dance. Shout out to everybody. Hit the subscribe, hit the like button, all of that good stuff. Thank you. We'll see you on the next one.